Back on the 14th of March, I dropped my first impressions video of the Adidas Evo SL. Fast forward to the 28th of March and I'd already rocketed over the 100 mile mark, and now as we approach the end of April, we've got over 200 in them. But when we reach these levels of mileage, the big question then comes, how is the durability? 100 miles is one thing, but getting over 200 is another. Let's dive in and discuss how it's doing. So welcome back to another long-term shoe review, Adidas Evo SL after 200 miles. Excited to deliver you my thoughts on the wear and tear, how I've been using it, and then of course, will I keep using it moving forwards. This has been an absolutely stellar addition to the running shoe rotation since picking it up earlier in March. I've been looking for a replacement for my Adios Pro 3 that I was using a lot last year, and this thing has really stepped up to the plate. And once we've covered those three topics, I want to answer the question as to whether I think this really has filled the Adios Pro 3 boots or not, or if I'd rather get another pair of those in instead of these. Let's get straight into it. So let's kickstart with the wear and tear. We'll talk about the upper, the midsole, and then the outsole. We'll kickstart with the upper. It is holding up really damn well. As I'd expect, to be honest with you, everything is looking good. No snags, no frays, no tears whatsoever in this shoe. Only the one that I put in it on the left shoe, and if you want to know more about why I've done that, go back to the first impressions video. I'll make sure I leave a link to that at the end of this video. But overall, it's doing really well. I'm finding that the fabric is holding strong as well. Sometimes things can overstretch a little bit and get a little bit loose, a little bit sloppy. Everything is feeling really good. One of the initial issues that I found with this shoe, and there are only a couple to be honest with you, the tongue is quite long. I mentioned this in the 100 mile video. The wings of the tongue really do kind of wrap around the side, but it's not a gusseted tongue, so it really is kind of held up by the loop in the tongue here, and that's fine. I've not really necessarily had any slippage, but what I have found is that if I don't make sure the tongue is folded over the top of the foot and it doesn't accidentally like curl over like that, is when it does that, it can sometimes ravel down and then I get a bit of lace bite over the top. But since I made a point of noting that that is an issue, and I make sure every time I slip the shoe on, I make sure the tongue is folded around nicely, absolutely nothing whatsoever. So everything is really good there. Let's move on to the midsole. Everything is looking really good from a midsole perspective, very good. We are really in what I would say peak Evo SL times right now. It really does take over 100 miles to break in. I'm finding it now to be the softest that it has been out of any stage in its life right now, especially over the last 50 miles. I really feel like we're at the point where it's super soft, super squidgy, definitely really opened up nicely. Again, I found this with the Adios Pro 3. I did actually race in that one within its first 100 miles and I just found it a bit too firm and unresponsive. But I found the sweet spot with that shoe ended up being anything over 200 miles and it just lasted so well. So I really am hopeful that this is going to be exactly the same. So you're going to have no worries that the midsole is going to start to compress or go flat or anything like that. It's still going really well. Good bounce there, good cushioning, everything is spot on. As for the outsole traction, can't speak highly enough of it. It is still really grippy, really good there. Absolutely no signs of wear. The only signs that I'm getting of a little bit of wear is just on this exposed outsole here around the top there, just where it's just starting to flake away. But honestly, it's absolutely nothing. I've seen far worse on other shoes. And what I would also like to say in terms of exposed midsole, in other shoes as well, I've seen some of this exposed midsole really chew up as well. Light Strike Pro is so damn durable. It's unbelievable. I get none of that in this shoe. As you can see, bar a bit of discoloring where it's just been used and been out there on the forest tracks and on the pavement and a good mix of terrain, it's just really good. And I'm really impressed with this rubber at the back here. This is actually different rubber to the Continental at the front here. Both of them really grippy, both of them doing really well. So that is it for the wear and tear. So let's move on to how I've been using this shoe. Has it changed since the last 100 mile update video? Have I been using it for anything different, or are we pretty much the same? Well, a little bit of both really. So for me, on a Monday, I tend to do a nice, steady, relaxed run with some hill strides in this recent 5K training block I've been doing. And that has been pretty much this shoe's job, and I would not want to swap it out with anything else. Also, the long runs, I've been using pretty much this shoe. I've done a couple in the Saucony Endorphin Elite where I've just been kind of wanting a bit extra on that long run. Just for context, I try and restrict the usage of super shoes in my training to around once a week, maybe sneak one in there twice a week, but on the whole, I try my best to just avoid plated shoes in training and save that magic for race day. But the Saucony Endorphin Elite in particular are very well worn. Their racing days are behind behind them, and sometimes I just look for something a little bit lighter, nimbler and faster. So again, we'll come to that shortly. So the most of the long runs have been done in this one as well, and the majority of the easy runs. So obviously between 0 and 100 miles, I got this shoe there within a couple of weeks. But of course, it's been nearly 4 weeks now from 100 to 200, and that's because I was using this one for every easy run as well. And I'm trying to mix it up with my On Cloud Surfer 2, so that one's nearly at 100 miles. And again, I really enjoy that shoe, but the problem is nothing is going to compete with this one. And I have just tried to use this a little bit more sparingly because I don't want to burn through it and be done and dusted with it within a few months. So I have been kind of just mixing it up a little bit more on the easy runs. As for the workouts, this is where I've been doing it a little bit differently. So with the 0 to 100 mile review, I hadn't done much in the form of speed, maybe a couple of workouts here and there. For this one, I've used it more on around sort of like 3 or 4. Some, of course, in the long run, I've been doing long run tempo workouts, and then this one has really come in to its own there. And I'm finding its sweet spot from a pacing perspective is realistically sort of easy pace, moderate pace, marathon pace, down to half marathon pace, and it really can shift quicker, but I do tend to prefer to slip on something a little bit lighter and nimbler where I can have a bit more ground contact feel a little bit more like I'm in control, because this shoe has so much foam in it, a little bit like the Adios Pro 3. I can sometimes find with these type of shoes that I lose that ground contact feel, and I feel like the shoe can be doing a little bit too much work. So I do like to take back control on those shorter, sharper days. And on some of those in my recent training block, I've been doing actually some longer, slower stuff at the start, so maybe a longer 3K rep around marathon effort, and then slipping into a different shoe, so that one would take that section, and then slipping into something shorter and faster, and maybe doing some 10K and 5K faster reps like K reps and stuff like that. So again, I've been using it for portions of workouts, nothing particularly quick, anything that's really short and sharp, anything 5K pace and above, I've been avoiding in this shoe. It could absolutely handle it because I'm doing my hill strides in it at the end of my Monday steady run, and they're really, really good. But for the shorter workouts, a little bit longer in duration, I'm definitely gravitating towards either the Adios 9 or now the recently acquired Nike Streetfly 2. That'll be getting some use over the next few weeks as well. So really, it can do everything. It's a brilliant jack of all trades shoe. I'm just opting to slip on something lighter and faster for those shorter, faster reps. Otherwise, it can do everything, and for me, it has been doing everything. So I guess the question is, will I continue to use this shoe moving forward? So it's a little bit of a no-brainer for me, really. The answer is yes, absolutely. There's no reason for me to retire this. There's not any other shoe in my rotation right now that I feel like, oh yeah, I'd rather use that over this. This is right now a little bit like how I felt towards the Max 6 this time last year. There's a shoe here that is a contender for shoe of the year, and I think it's going to be very hard to beat come December unless something else comes out, unless a version 2 of this comes out that I can get my hands on, or something else that's as magical as this. I really do think that this one is going to be hard to beat. So yeah, right now there's no reason for me to be substituting this or stop using it. I really want to take this one as far as I can. So the final question I want to get to, now that I've put 200 miles in this shoe and really feel like I've got a good grip on how I'm using it and how it feels compared to this one, would I swap now the Pro 3, which I was using a lot last year, for a pair of Evo SLs? Which one would I rather have in my rotation? Well, of course, they're very similar in terms of profile. I'll be honest with you, in terms of stack height, they're very similar, but also the Evo SL is lighter, believe it or not, which is crazy because for me, in a racing shoe, I'm looking for something slightly lighter, nimbler and faster, and the Pro 3, I believe, is just a few grams heavier. But overall, what are we talking about? The differences, we've got a much more comfortable upper in the Evo SL. I think the upper in the Pro 3 was a bit of a gripe for a lot of people. It's a little bit scratchy, a little bit coarse, and didn't quite fit very well. And again, the heel counter was something that a lot of people got a good Achilles rub on. I found that I solved that just by folding this triangle inwards rather than folding it outwards, which I think a lot of people did. Just by folding it in, that sorted any Achilles rub. Where of course, again with the Evo SL, you've got a padded heel counter there because this is geared up for training and this is more so for racing. The main difference, as you would expect, is of course the Adios Pro 3 uses the rods, which you can see here, which again is one of those aids that we expect to find in a racing shoe these days to give us that extra edge, whereas this is just one full slab of Light Strike Pro. So really, with the rods being the only main difference in the shoe, you've got a more comfortable shoe in the form of the Evo SL. Of course, as I said, the upper on this and the heel counter and everything, it just needed a bit of refinement. Haven't tried the Pro 4 yet, so I can't comment on that. But overall, with the rest being the same, saying which would I choose, and the honest answer is it would come down to what I'm training for. If I was going into another marathon training block, I wouldn't hesitate but to say that I would want another pair of Pro 3 over the Evo SL. I feel like when I was doing my marathon block in these, I can really notice a difference between these two shoes without the rods. I can feel like I can definitely pick up the pace a bit faster in this one. It comes more naturally than this one. I found that when I do try and pick up the pace, although it's very light, nimble and great and easy to do, I do feel like this one has got the edge. I do feel like I just bounce through the gait cycle a little bit better in this shoe, and I do feel like those rods give it the extra edge. When it comes to marathon training, I was doing my long runs in it, my midweek marathon sessions, my medium long runs, everything was covered in this shoe. I wouldn't necessarily want to be doing all of that in this one. I feel like the rods gave me that extra edge. I was able to get some good performance benefits from this shoe, but of course with the recovery benefits of using the Super Shoe foam. When it comes to this one, I've got the Super Shoe foam, I've got the comfort, I just haven't got that extra propulsion that I would be looking for from the Pro 3. So as I said, marathon training block, I would choose a Pro 3 hands down. Currently now with a 5K training block, I would choose an Evo SL hands down, because I'm not looking to use something like the Pro 3 for any of the workouts that I'm doing right now. I'm finding this one to be adequate for the long runs that I'm doing, because I'm only looking to inject a little bit of tempo in there and really nothing more. And any of the shorter, faster workouts that I'm looking to do, I wouldn't even consider using the Pro 3 or even the Evo SL. So it comes down to the training block. But I think the question that a lot of people want to know is, do you notice a difference between these two shoes with them being so similar? And the honest answer is yes, I do. I do notice the difference without the rods in this shoe. I do feel like it's like training in a super shoe without a plate. A little bit mushier than what this one is, but still absolutely top quality for a daily trainer. So that's a wrap on the Evo SL after 200 miles. Wear and tear, how I've been using it, and of course if I'll keep using it moving forwards, plus a little comparison there with the Pro 3, which I know a lot of you guys have asked in the past. So hopefully that answers that question. Of course, if you have any more questions, please do feel free to drop them in the comments below. I'll be more than happy to answer them down there. And other than that, we're just going to keep logging the miles in this shoe, and I'm sure I'll see you guys very soon for a 300 mile update in this one. If you didn't see my first impressions video of this shoe and are curious as to why I made a little slit in the toe box here, make sure you check out this video at the top. That's the first impressions of this shoe. And if you're interested in my latest acquisition for my running shoe rotation, the Streakfly 2, where I've just done a mile time trial and some fast reps in it, check out this video down here. That is a very interesting shoe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.